Welcome back again, guys. This is going to be our last park for this weekend. It's about 2 o'clock in the afternoon now. This morning we've done Native Avenue at Wistow, and we've done Macclesfield Quarry, and we're just hiking into Warren Conservation Park now, out near Kersbrook. This is one of my OG wandering spots. Got me into a lot of the orchids that I see these days. From experience, I feel like we're going to be quite early in the season for this park, although it's been real hit and miss the last couple of years. And I didn't see a lot out here last year, but we'll see. It's a lot drier than a lot of the other parks I go to. But has been good to me in the past, and I'm sure it'll be good to me again in the future. We'll see. It takes a little while to get into any sort of real good orchid stuff here. We're sort of only just starting it. Sorry about that, just crossed past another walker. We're only just starting it. It's a 9k loop, the Warren Tower trail, so it's going to be pushing sunset by the time I get back to the car, but that's alright. Yeah, we'll see what we see. As I say, early season. Might be some Glossodia majors up. Purple cockatoo orchids already. Could be anything really. Got the Caladenia tentaculata out here, Caladenia reticulata. We've got Leptokyla. Caladenia behrii should be in season currently, but it is a very rare orchid and very enigmatic. I know of 2 patches of them in this park. One I haven't been able to find for the last 2 years. The other one has flowered in the same spot for the last 2 years, but only a single flower, so we'll see. It might even be too late for that one. Yeah, we'll see when we get there, and I'll come back to you when I start seeing some stuff. Alright, so just wandering down into the first valley. Just want to say the temperature swing from walking up the south face from the car of this hillside to the north side of this hill now, which we're on, was amazing. It's so much warmer just over this side than it is over the ridgeline. Just phenomenal. Anyway, haven't seen anything yet, so I'll come back to you. Here we go, about a kilometre along the track, and first orchid is Dirus leopard donkey orchid. These are incredibly common in the park here. Not surprising at all, that is the first one we've seen. There's a telemetra down here as well. I thought I saw one anyway, which was in bud. Not surprised that the donkey orchid was the first one we've seen. They should be prolific as we continue in. Probably the most frustrating thing about this park is the best experience with orchids is probably in the 5k's of the park that is furthest from each end of the trail. So you can go like 2k's from either end of the trail without seeing too much. And then all the best stuff is further in. So we have a sun orchid down here as well. Looks like it's Antennaphera, that one, like the ones we were seeing in Ferries McDonald. Not open yet, not quite swollen enough either to look like opening. Yeah, this is a good stretch through here as you work down into the valley. Can be a bit hit and miss. Sometimes I'll see stuff and sometimes I won't. But it is a nice time of year, regardless of seeing orchids, to be walking in here. You got all the pea plants, you got the heath, all of these sort of things, hakeas I think they are. It's just colourful time. And the views are stunning too. Now, one of the most prolific lizards in the park here is the tawny crevice dragon. And I'll certainly take any opportunity I get to film one, because they're a stunning lizard. Blues and oranges and all sorts all over them. But they are fast. So I don't have high hopes. There's one down there actually. No, he's run away, but he was down there. We're coming up to a section where they're pretty prolific on the rock wall. So if I can film or photo one, I will. Alright, I'll come back to you. Alright, so we're kind of heading in that general direction. The path continues down here, wraps around the sort of side of this valley, and then drops down over the back of that saddle there. And we come back up the other ridge line and sort of work our way up. Yeah, in that direction anyway. I'll show you the map, get it the right way up. So we're just here at the moment, at the split point. And yeah, so we work our way like over the saddle, through here, then down through the valley, up the other ridge line, and it's all really nice up through here and along the back. Then you come into like a it's like a farmland crossing area through there. Come back up along the fire trail along here, and again it's all really nice, and then drop back down this trail here. We'll come back into here later to this point. But yeah, for the time being, we're taking the left fork. I just like doing this track in a clockwise direction. It's the way I always do it. Yeah, along the side of the valley here, we'll have a heap of rocky outcrops where those tawny crevice dragons live. Again, I'll try and include these when I see them, but we got the sundews here. Lots of them. Prolific in this park. All the species I've mentioned in previous videos. Might even be able to see some of those little pimpernels in flower. Righty, onwards. Alright, if we're quiet, we might be able to sneak up on this guy. I can see his tail hanging out of his hole. Just up there. I don't know how close we're going to get to him, but we'll see. I'm not even sure what sort of lizard it is. There's a dragon on the other side. I'm not sure if this is a dragon. Oh, I just ran up the slope there too. This one might actually be a white skink, maybe a tree skink. If he's going to sit there for me, we might get a shot in the dark of him. There we go. I'm not sure of the species name on those guys. I think it might be Egernia. There's a dragon up there too. In there. And he's off. Yeah, but great variety of lizards up here, and some of them are quite large body. They're not all the small ones, which is nice. Makes them easier to see. And you can see this big rocky outcrop area here. It's just rich with them. Given it is mid-afternoon though, they're all juiced up and full of beans. Hard to photograph and film. I think I actually have some hikers coming up behind me, so I might just take a break shortly and let them go past so I can film and take my time. Oh, this is interesting. I was hoping to see these guys. So this is a trigger plant, book trigger plant to be precise, and they're tiny, real small. So this is Stylidium behrii, tiny little guy. Pretty common in the park for the most part. But yeah, really small. Got to get your eye in for them. Carrying on. couple of good finds straight off the bat. It's a good thing about this park. I mean, there's the diversity of orchids is nice, but they can be a bit spread out. But there's always those alternative things to see if you open your eyes and they're not painted on like mine are half the time. Alright, so like I said before, we are early season for this park. Got a Caladenia leaf up here. That'll be Caladenia tentaculata, most likely. Well, definitely. There isn't another species of green comb in here as far as I know. It's just that one. These lizards, man, they're just so fast. Alrighty, so just let those other two hikers through. We've pretty much reached the saddle here. I'm going to start dropping down into the next valley. A few orchids about. Nothing in flower apart from that one donkey orchid we've seen so far. I'll flip you around. There is the Telemetra species here. This one here. That's pretty much the state of everything I've seen so far, just bud. So yeah, we'll carry on. Yeah, enjoying it so far. It's a nice day. It's warmer than it was in Wistow and Macclesfield, but it is still very comfortable. Lovely day for a walk. And just great views in here as well. Love this park. There's a reason why I used to visit it a lot. It's a little bit out of my way now, but it's, yeah, still one of my favourites. Spectacular terrain. Another sun orchid here again. That's pretty much the state of everything I've seen so far. Other orchids about at the end. Hang on, there's another one just here. Yeah, other orchids about at the end of their cycle. Acanthus pusillus in here. Skeeter orchids. Pretty much done for the year. Another big group of the sun orchids here. They're getting there. I'm not sure which variety this is. Plenty about. They're not too far off. Got the other leaves here. Orchids everywhere. I'm pretty sure these ones are the Glossodia majors. So they shouldn't be too far off flowering either. And probably if I pick the right park, I would probably actually find some that are up already. For example, I know if I go south and go to Scott Conservation Park, those guys flower real early in there. Yeah, seem to be a little bit later here. So we're working our way down the other side of this slope at the moment. It's still a northern exposure, so it's still quite arid, but at the bottom I'd say arid, it's drier. When we kind of hook around down to the bottom, it goes through a creek line. It comes up a southern exposure, which is much greener, much wetter. A lot of hypnum moss. Well, I call it hypnum moss. I think it's actually called cypress leaf plate moss. Something like that. Lots of that. Usually lots of the Corybars orchids up there. And perhaps some of the maroon hoods, nodding green hoods and stuff. Yeah, keep working our way in that direction. So pretty much down in the valley now. Starting to see a lot of the Caladenia tentaculata leaves. probably, I mean, they've mostly all got buds on, but they're probably only about half height at the moment. Do get some good stands of them down here, lots of them around. So you can see these ones here, nice big group of them. They're getting really quite tall, so they're not far off opening up. Regularly spaced along the track down here. It's obviously good growing conditions for them. There are like the Glossidia majors and stuff down here as well. One in there. What's the focus for me? Not really. Pretty much just almost at creek level now. Don't really find a huge diversity of the orchids down here. So just to give you an idea, so 7.2 k's, so about 2 k's from the trailhead. Now working in a clockwise direction. So yeah, we're kind of in the zone now where things start really getting interesting. Once we cross the creek and get some elevation back on, like up the ridge line, starts getting rocky and stuff, and yeah, just really where you'd expect to find the orchids. Alright guys, this is kind of cool. Managed to catch one of these Tenotus skinks. I'm not sure which one this is. I'm tempted to say Tenotus orientalis, or orientis. I think it's orientalis. But yeah, there's a couple of different types out here. Quite a large one, this one. Bigger than the one I found at Lenga Reserve that time, a few videos back. I'm going to try and grab a couple of videos of this guy. Also saw a frog down here. I think it's a Crinia signifera. But yeah. Ripper looking skink. Alright, we'll get some photos and I'll pop him back. Alright buddy, time to go. See you later. So this is the first amphibian I've got in the videos for you. This is a Crinia signifera, common froglet. One of our most common frogs here in South Australia, I would say. We're down near the creek line, so not super surprising to see him here. Yeah, they're very variable as a frog species. Also get like biberon's toadlet out here as well, but that was definitely a Crinia signifera. Yeah, really cool. Wasn't really expecting to catch any reptiles today, but that opportunity presented itself, so that was pretty good. Yeah, as I say, pretty much at the creek, and I'll come back to you when we're on the other side. Made it down to the pretty much the lowest elevation point in the park, the creek. It is a seasonal creek. It is absolutely bone dry in the summertime. So not really any fish life or anything in here. I have seen yabbies and tadpoles and such. But yeah, no fish life. You can see once we get onto this like south facing hillside, everything's much greener. Just got a different composition of like ground covers on the ground. The creek itself is kind of cool. Do like these aquatic environments. I'm not sure there's any true aquatic plants in here, but yeah, definitely got the riparian species, and it actually looks amazing at this time of year. Got the maidenhair ferns and the Chelianthus rock ferns on the other side. That's the rock fern there. Got the maidenhair ferns. I can't remember the scientific name for those things. Yeah, just a nice peaceful place to be. Alright, can't dilly-dally too long. I need to kind of be out of here before dark. But start making our way up this hill. If I find anything, I'll show you. You don't really need to listen to me breathing heavily all the way up the hill, so I'll keep the recording to a minimum. But yeah, once we get up on the ridgeline, that's right, it's better to start finding Caladenia, behrii and stuff. You will forgive my pronunciation of that, but it is what it is. So, Pterostylis pedunculata. As I said, there's going to be a stack of those down here. Probably going to be the nodding green hoods as well. I'll definitely show you some of the helmet orchids if I find any in flower, but it is very late in the year for those. You never know, but I don't have high hopes. Alrighty, onwards and upwards. So sticking with the position indicators, you can see, there we go. 6.8 k's to go of this 9k circuit. We've got some Pterostylis nutans up here. Pretty cooked one there. Little group down here. Plenty about. They blend in pretty well. They're actually hard to see from my height off the ground, but there's lots up through here, all through the rock ferns. Another little group up there. All through here, just a wide colony really. But yeah, just got this lovely hillside in the shade, covered in the Chelianthus fern. There's a nice cool breeze through here. It's a lovely place to be. Trail continues up there. Just caught these out of the corner of my eye. So you got the colony of like your Glossodia major and stuff down here. I presume that's what it is anyway. Up here we've got some of the late flowering nut orchids, Certostylus species. Yeah. Oh, it really doesn't want to focus on that for me, but it is what it is. There we go. Yeah, they're all starting to bud up and flower now. They're much smaller than the earlier flowering one. But you can see, if you just look past the leaf litter here, just got orchid leaves everywhere. Just huge colony. And presumably they wouldn't all flower. I've never seen like a real solid mass flowering, but the colony's certainly there. So yeah, basically just stopped here for a breather. I did just do my little spiel, but I wasn't recording. Good one. Nice views through here. The trail continues on up to my right here, where we'll be going in a moment. Hits a switch back and then comes up above those rocks up there. Or perhaps even just below those rocks. Then up along the ridgeline. And then goes out that way for a bit. We'll get back to where we can actually see the clearing. So it stays up high and works along the far ridge above the valley. And then we kind of end up, there's a clearing out there. Where is it? Up there. Kind of work across the top of that clearing. Right up along the ridge line. So it goes past the fire tower up there somewhere. And then back along the ridge line, all the way along there, along the fire track. And then the trail comes back down to that fork where we went left earlier. Yeah. So for the time being, we're carrying on up this way. Onwards. I would expect to see some Certostylis up here, but you never know. It might be just sort of in between the seasons for them. They normally form colonies in like the crooks in between the rocks and stuff up here. So I'll just keep you with me for a little bit in case we see some. Huh. And speak of the devil, big colony just here, right in the crook of the rocks. Love it when I'm not proven completely wrong for a change. Yeah, nice little colony there. Yeah, you can see these ones up here all like reaching out for the light from up, like right up in the crack there. Not sure why they form colonies like that, but they do, and every year it's the same. So yeah, who knows? Bit of a weird one. Do like this little section of track though. Never exactly lots of spider orchids or anything up here, but just an interesting stretch to walk. Another colony in here, mostly been chopped off by the looks, or maybe they just haven't quite budded up yet, but they're there. Alrighty, I'll come back to you when we're up top. Got an echidna down here. I'm not going to be able to photo. He's running away, but he is down there. Just heard him shuffling away into the bush as I walked past. First one I've seen while I'm doing videos for you guys. So we're pretty much on the ridge line now. Some donkey orchids in there. Yeah, I've just been working up the inside of this rocky outcrop. I'm about to pop out on top. More donkey orchids. So as soon as we come up here, there's heaps more orchids again. Got a sun orchid here as well. This one. Donkey orchids. Big colony of the gnat orchids. Heaps of flowers on these guys. Really cool. So if you time it just right, all this open area on top of the ridge up here is just full of like sun orchids and stuff. Have actually found like the plumed green hoods up here before as well. Once, a few years ago. I haven't seen them again. And as we continue just to gain a little bit of elevation is where I would expect to start seeing the Caladenia behrii as well. Although I haven't seen them on this stretch for a few years now. Saw them once. There was a group of maybe 3 or 4 of them, a couple of them in flower. And yeah, just haven't seen them again. you can see we've just come into full sun now, so we're back on a northern exposure. More donkeys, some that are cooked. These guys taking in the sunshine. Alright, I'm just going to wander slowly through here and I'll bring you back in if I find anything of interest. So no luck with the Caladenia behrii yet, but have a look at this beast of an eastern mantis orchid, the Caladenia tentaculata. That is a unit and a half. Big flower, that one. Yeah, seen a few of the telemetra budded up around the place. Have not seen the Caladenia behrii yet. I think that skink I found earlier, for those playing along, was actually a white's skink, which is Leophilus whitei, I think. Probably just butchered that scientific name, but yeah, is what it is, you know. Yeah. Still holding out hope of seeing the Caladenia behrii, but the other one I know that flowers at this time of year, the plant that I know of is much further up the track. It's about halfway around the circuit, 4.5K mark. But yeah, lots of telemetra buds up. It's often hard to see the telemetra between the lilies. They look similar to a certain point. Oh, there we go. There's another Terraspila species, Linguella species. The dwarf greenhood. They form quite big colonies around here as well, but it is quite late in their season, and that's the only one I've seen so far. Another group of telemetra down here. I think most of these are actually going to be telemetra rubra. There's a big group of Caladenia tentaculata in there as well. We'll bud it up. Again, just add it to the list of come back in a month's time, see what's showing. Every other step you've got telemetras. It's a good little section up here. Again, for reference, that's how far we've got left of the 9-kilometre circuit. So we've still got plenty to see. And we're still seeing plenty. More of the tentaculata down here. So when it comes to the other species of Caladenia in the park here, I'm pretty sure it's reticulata and the leptokyla, I've only ever seen those up along the fire track on the ridgeline. So when we've got about 3Ks left to get back to the trailhead, I'm not sure that we'll find them in this video. I found them once and never been able to find them again, even though I found a few different plants, so we'll see. For the time being, we'll focus on trying to find these behrii. Right, I'll come back to you. Alrighty, so we've reached the next intersection point on the trail with a map. I'll just show you where we're at. So if you remember, last time we looked at the map, we were down here. So we've worked down through the valley along the ridgeline, and we're now here. We're going to be going down that way for a bit, and that'll work its way up to the fire tower. Eventually, anyway. So yeah, you can see here, we've got to work our way along the ridge line here, and then through the gate, and that's like farmland up through here, and we got the fire tower up there. So through this section, so about halfway along, I have found Caladenia behrii before, and then getting close to the gate, have also found like scorpions and stuff. So we might have a look there for that. Otherwise, you know, I see a fair few donkey orchids along this section of the track, and there's always lots of skinks, which are damn near impossible to film. There is obviously orchids here. That one's a lily, I think, but you know, you got the tentaculata bud there. Yeah, I'll come back to you if I see something of interest. There's not a whole lot else going on in this section of the trail. It's kind of just like this, just a sandy track for the most part. I'll come back in about halfway along when we're approaching where I've seen the behrii before. Yeah, stick with me. Just bringing you in early. Not quite to where that Caladenia behrii is, but I have just found a plumed greenhood. It's not open yet, but it's there. And I haven't seen these guys in this section before, so it's kind of cool. So I've showed you these guys in Ferries McDonald. They have the little furry tongue that drops out, and with the bowl on the end and waggles around. Cool to see one up here though. I've not seen one along this stretch before. So I'm just going to take a photo, put it on iNaturalist, and I'll come back to you. Just bringing you back in, guys. I'm not quite at the spot. We're almost there. Just working away on the track here, and we've come into this, I don't know, it's a thicket of kangaroo thorn, acacia, wattle. It's not much fun, particularly when it's overhanging the track. See if I can get it to focus for you. It's just covered in these little hypodermic spikes that just, no fun at all. But anyway, I've come across, I'm pretty sure this is actually a patch of the behrii leaves. They look much longer and narrower, and perhaps this is a behrii here. It's a much, it's just not quite as stout as what I would expect from Caladenia tentaculata. And like the leaves are much longer and narrower. A little bit less densely hairy, and the hairs are a bit shorter. I wouldn't expect a Caladenia tentaculata leaf to look like that. So I'm pretty sure this is actually a patch of behrii, maybe. Maybe they've already flowered, although I'm not seeing stems and seeds. So maybe they're yet to flower. It's only seeing the one bud down here in front of my knee. So we're going to keep looking anyway, and I am moving very slowly at the moment. It's probably costing me time to get back to the car before it gets dark, but that's alright. I'd love to see one of these orchids, and I know they're up here. So I'll come back to you shortly. The plant I'm thinking of is right next to like a big double bunger gum tree. It's not a big gum tree, but it's got two trunks and you kind of step through it, and it's on the left just before we get to that, if it's flowering. So we'll see. I'll come back to you. Good spot for the 20 crevice dragons here, but might be a little late in the day now. They're often sitting on this big set of boulders over here, and if you can sneak up on them, they pose for you, but I'm not seeing any there today. So yeah, obviously we're on the Hyson Trail, so part of the Hyson Trail anyway. Maps and stuff readily available online. I can see that big double bunger gum tree up there. Can't remember exactly, that's the one we've got to walk through. Can't remember exactly how far before the tree this plant was. Just know it was somewhere in this vicinity. It may have already come up and been chopped off, for all I know. I'm certainly not seeing it here. It was literally right on the trail edge. And I mean, then, you know, they're not the most outlandish spider orchid ever, but they're quite large, they're quite white, and they've got long petals, red on the end, so that, I mean, they stand out when they catch your eye, but I'm not seeing it, so. Oh, here we go. We've got a set of these strappy leaves again, so maybe it was down here. None of these look like they're flowering. So again, I think this is the Caladenia behrii leaves. I can't see any buds up. There's another one around here. This would be in the vicinity of where I've seen the flower in the past, so guess we're going to be unlucky this year, of course, since I actually want to film it. You get that. So, just for reference, 5 kilometers to go in that way, and you got 4 kilometers that way. So, you know, we're roughly halfway through the trail here at the moment. As we keep wandering up here, it comes into some more open grassy stuff up the top. You can see where the trail is running away up there. And I have seen like Eriochila species up here in the past. It's one of the few places I've actually seen them flowering. Managed to come up here at the right time of year. Looks like we got Telemetra tenifera down here in bud. Another one tucked in there as well. Another heap tucked in there actually. And I can see another. Is it a spider orchid leaf? No, it's not. Blue star or something like that. I mean, I like this little section of park, it's quite nice. Alright, I'm going to keep looking and I'll come back to you. Alrighty guys, well, we're about to go into the like the farmland aspect of the track here. Not really interesting. Going to be heading like down that way, down the fire trail. It'll work its way up to the fire tower, and I'll certainly show you what we got when we're up there. So the park's down here to my left, so this is a section of the trail that's outside of the park. A little bit disappointing, we didn't find the Caladenia behrii. I think we found the leaves. I'm going to have to look at the reference book when I get home and see if that was indeed what we were looking at. Lots of other stuff though, like we found the gnat orchids, plenty of diorus, found the maroon hoods, nodding green hoods. So yeah, plenty about. Caught that skink and saw the frog, so that was kind of cool. Yeah. So yeah, I think now we're going to cruise along. If I happen to see any of the like scorpions, I'm not even sure. I'm going to flip some rocks. I showed you the black rock scorpions before. They all look the same. And I'm kind of keen to just push through this and get to the top section of the park. I'll flip you around here. So you can see we're just walking along a fire trail now. It's not the most interesting sort of terrain. We've got to work our way up this big old farm hill, which you'll see in a moment. I'll keep you with me until we get to the gate. seen a lot of people here in the park today actually, which I mean I don't normally encounter too many groups, but I guess it is it's a Sunday afternoon and it's a cracking day, as you can tell. Why wouldn't you want to be out in nature, really? Yeah, I actually haven't seen as many donkey orchids as I might have expected. A few in bud, and seen, but you know, I've seen a lot. Not as many as I perhaps would have expected though. So if I'm wandering along here, normally I'll flip a rock or two on the side. Oh, lizard under that one. Alrighty, wasn't exactly what I was expecting. And look for the scorpions. I have no idea what sort of skink that was. Probably another white skink like I caught earlier. Have a look under this one. Nobody home under there. Pop it back down. Has been a pretty enjoyable day out though. I've seen a lot of different orchids today. Just not exactly the ones I wanted to find. Still have my fingers crossed we'll find some reticulata or leptokyla up the top along the other end of the fire track. Maybe. It might happen. We'll see. Lots of wattle through here. This is all that kangaroo thorn still. I've never really bush bashed this park. Like I'll go off track plenty in like Ferries McDonald and stuff in the open mallee, but that doesn't really have any of this kangaroo thorn in it. And like I've pushed through thickets of this stuff before when I've been fishing, and it's no fun. It's like negative fun. Even when you're wearing jeans and long sleeves, it is just miserable. So I kind of just stick to the trails here. There are actually quite a lot of old hiking trails that run through the park. Which might warrant exploration at some point. There's one that goes up to a spot called Glitter Rock Hill. There's a like geocache up the top there, which is kind of cool. It's an old ammo box and nice views. Been up there once or twice. And yeah, there's another one that runs sort of into the centre of the park, which I've never really explored. You can see the trail running away up the hill up there. Yeah. Anyway, there's not a lot to look at up through this section, so I'm going to leave you be. We are currently pretty much bang on the halfway point of our 9k trek here, so yeah, I'll come back to you. I figure these guys are going to make a stack of noise when I come past. Whole heap of sulphur crested cockatoos over there. Maybe they're engrossed in what they're doing. We'll see. I don't really need a deafening racket, but I do need to walk past them. So. Oh, they just took off quietly. Isn't that nice? Oh, they got a refuge tree right there they can go to. That makes sense. Yeah, they'll come back. They'll come back to their patch once I'm past, I'm sure. Cracking views from up here. Almost 360 degrees. Probably is 360 degrees once we get up to the actual tower itself, where you guys will rejoin me. Alrighty, so if you remember earlier in the video, I pointed out the clearing that we'd be working across the top of when we're on the other side of the valley. Well, this is what we were looking at. See down behind me there, you can see the ridge line that we were on. Yeah. Gee, I love this spot up here. It's just absolutely amazing. How could you not like that? It's a stunning place. Like, this park is just, it's something else. And I mean, we're in the farmland section here. This isn't even natural, but this time of year, blue skies, white clouds. It's still, it's not windy. Sun's out. It's just, yeah, glorious. Anyway, I'm just going to keep you with me till we get to the top of the hill here. I'm pretty sure there's a little plaque up here. Might not be. I could be thinking of another spot, but I love these like summit hiking trails. There's another one out near Woodside or Harrogate, which maybe we'll do a video just hiking up there. There's no orchids or anything, but it's just a nice walk if you get it on a lovely day. It's like to Mount Beaver summit. Good views out there as well. Look at that sky though. Being watched. All the kangaroos over there. I'll mind my business if they mind theirs. I've been up here just before sunset before, just kangaroos everywhere. That might be that's the trail plaque over there. This one is the summit plaque, I think. So yeah, quality views all around, 360 degrees from up here. Which is why this big old fire tower's here, obviously. It gives you an idea of our orientation. Few parks on here that I enjoy visiting. South Power Reservoir out that way, you can sort of see it through the trees there. Do a lot of fishing in there. What else we got? Hale Conservation Park. So if you go left at the last sort of map plaque we showed you, that it's got like a Hale connector trail which goes into the park down there. You got the Warren Reservoir down here, which, you know, also a good fishing spot, but not really my thing. Kaiserstuhl out this way is a park I haven't visited, but must make the effort to at some point. It's out in the Barossa. Yeah. Mount Pleasant out that way. Home is way out in the distance, over that way somewhere. It's just a lovely place to be. Alright, we've got a plot away over in that direction. Go through the fence somewhere over there. And then along the fire trail, down along that ridge line. And then we drop back into the park. So, let's get back to it. Alrighty, just come down to the fence line from the fire tower up there. Mount Lofty walking trails, alternative route to the Hyacinth Trail. It's kind of just a dog leg around the Hyacinth Trail. I'm not sure where the one, like if you follow Tower Road down, I know it ends up coming out at Williamstown Road. I'm not exactly sure where it goes, to be honest, where the Hyacinth Trail goes. I think it goes down, might be called Jenkins Scrub, which I haven't been down to, but maybe I'll visit at some point. Yeah, I always just do this loop. 9Ks in a day is, or in a loop is enough for me. I'll do multiple loops in a day, but yeah, it starts stretching the willpower a bit if I'm pushing out beyond 10 or 12Ks in one loop. So yeah, so basically we work through this sort of xanthorrhea for a bit, and then it will pop out next to a pine plantation. And that sounds really bad, but there's all these little like tight moss and grass tussocks, and they seem to provide great habitat for all sorts of orchids. Not saying we'll see any straight off the bat, but you know, there is orchids through here. This one here, it looks like it's going to be a Telemetra grandiflora, but right in the middle of the track, so unlikely to survive people stomping on it. Yeah. Alright. Come back if we find anything interesting. I say that a lot, but you know, it is what it is. So yeah, we're kind of in the choke point at the moment between the pine plantation over there and the park. Fire trail on the left and the walking trail straight ahead. But you know, there's still orchids in through here. Still seeing donkeys. Man, I did just see a Caladenia tentaculata, which is what prompted me to pull out the camera. There it is over there. So, is it still not in bud? Ah, sorry, still not in flower. Still in bud, like all of them here at the moment. But this little thin strip here between this old fence and the park just seems to be, it's like a weird little stronghold for orchids for the most part. I mean, I guess there's a heap in the park down there as well. But as I say, I'm not bush bashing this park. It's not really my thing. And when we start getting a little bit further along here, you see these little tussock things in the ground. I'm not sure what sort of grass it is or even what sort of plant it is. But often they will have like a patch of orchids in them. Same when you look at like these little mossy patches on the side. Yeah. It's a surprisingly nice and productive little stretch to walk along at times. With there not being a whole lot in flower at the moment, I'm not going to see a whole lot, I'm not going to lie. But yeah, I figured I'd show you that. This is kind of turning into a little bit more of just a tour of the various areas of Warren Conservation Park, but that's alright. Nothing wrong with a video like that, is there? So when we get to the end of this little walking trail, we'll hang a right and go along the fire trail, which takes us along the ridge line back to the little return track down to the split point, and then back to the trailhead where the car is. So yeah, I think we've got about 3Ks or so to go. There we go, got a distance marker up here conveniently. 2Ks to go, 2.8. And we've come 6.2. So yeah, I think we got about 1 kilometre on the fire trail, and then we duck back into the scrub. So you can see there's still orchids here. Got the Caladenia leaf there. Looks a bit small for tentaculata, but never know. Another one in there. Another one right in front. Quite a lot around, really, when you actually stop and look. Obviously when they're flowering they're a bit easier to see. Goes without saying really. And there we go. Donkeys are still here as well. Still got plenty of sunlight. The sun is nowhere near down, it's just behind clouds at the moment in case it's looking dim on the video. It's a little hard to tell on the screen. Just going to keep you with me until we get to the fire trail and then I'll duck away for a bit. Here's another sun orchid in bud. Another one. Alright, so yeah, we follow this for about a K and then we'll duck back into the bush. Alrighty, come back to you. Alrighty guys, did manage to find another one of these guys. I believe this again is a white skink. Lephalus whitey, or something like that. Anyway, we butchered that name again. Very cool. Quite a large skink actually, compared to the others I've shown you in other videos. Yeah, awesome little dude. It's always cool when you're deep in land and you can see it all the way out to the ocean. We're not really anywhere near the coast here, but you can still see all the way out to the Gulf, which is nice. Not seeing a lot of orchids along this stretch so far. Found that skink, saw another tentaculata bud, some donkey orchids, but other than that, not a whole lot. Just wandering along at the moment, enjoying the evening, basically. Kind of staring straight at the sun at the moment, doesn't really help. It's nice weather for it. Got a little dragon down here. How cool is that? It's a little tawny dragon, I think. Ooh, he's fast. Where is he? There he is. He's just laughing at me at the moment. Vain attempts to capture him on film. Cool little bloke though. It's probably about as long as my finger. There he goes. So I was just wandering along here, appreciating all the colours of the various flowers that are out at the moment. You got the reds and the pinks of the peas, and you got the pink bells down there. You got the whites, the creams, yellows of the wattles, whites of the hakea back there. And then I've just spotted what is easily the most advanced Telemetra grandiflora I've seen so far. Now I can't see it again. There it is. Walk straight past it. Yeah, he's come right up. So this one here. So he'd be 35 centimeters tall already. Yeah, probably got another 15-20 centimeters to go and pump out some buds and it'll be a spectacular specimen. Yeah, easily the most advanced one I've seen all day. It's kind of cool. Amazingly peaceful up here. Just stunning. Not so good looking in the sun for you guys, but yeah. The colours, they don't come out so well on video, but all sorts. The pea plants are stunning to look at. Pink bells. I believe they're rice flowers, like these guys in here. Not 100% sure. You got like the Stackhausia as well, which I'm pretty sure are those guys. Hakea. Got like the Heaths down there. I'll call them Heaths, I think that's what they are. Really nice. Basically at the point where we're ducking back into the bush here. Have actually installed a signpost and a map plate now. That wasn't there last time I was here. It was just a blink and you miss it sort of sidetrack back into the bush. But yeah, back at the map. So basically we are here now and coming back down the hill. It's quite a steep descent back down to the fork and then back around to the car. So let's get stuck into it. I've never actually followed the fire trail down there. I'm not entirely sure where it goes, but I don't think it's back to the car, so I'm not going to go down there. Even though I kind of dislike this section of trail, it's a necessary evil. Oh. Found a coloured up tawny dragon to film for you guys. Posing nicely for me at the moment. How cool is that? Stunning specimen. So I mean, these guys can really move. There was a skink here as well that I was trying to film. I think I can see one up there actually. I'll have a look in a moment, but I don't know if you can see him up there right on the top of the rock, but we'll try and zoom in. So this is the dragon I was just showing you some footage of. I have some better footage than this, but yeah, he gets around properly fast. This gives new meaning to flat out like a lizard in the sun. Look how compressed this guy is against a rock. I'm not sure what sort of lizard this is. I don't want to get too much closer at the moment, so I don't want to spook him away. He already knows I'm here. I think it might be like one of those ones we saw in the rock crevice earlier, an Egonia species. Perhaps a tree skink. I'm going to try and ease my way in and get a better shot, I think. Okay, this is incredibly exciting for me. I don't want to understate it. Just found a monitor lizard. First one I've ever seen in the park here. How's that for cool? I'm going to get some photos before he runs away. Because I have never seen one this close before. I've seen a few on the road. But yeah, alright, I'm going to come back to you. So I've always hoped to see one of these guys and just never have up close. He definitely knows I'm here now. See you later, buddy. Obviously got his hole up in there. It's gone way down in there. But yeah, I got some shots of that, and that's very cool. I knew they had to be here, just had never seen one before. I'm not entirely sure on the type of monitor. I'll put it in the description of the video anyway. Yeah, like that's actually cool, guys. Makes the whole wander around the track today worth it, just to see that lizard. Yeah, as I say, I have seen some very big ones before, like over on York Peninsula. Even seen some over on Eyre Peninsula. Always been too fast for me to even whip the camera out to get a photo, let alone just get near to it like that. Yeah. It seems like such a dumb little thing, but I love it. It's great. It's made my night. Pretty much at the fork in the trail now. It's literally just around the corner here. So yeah, that's great. This is going to be a long video. Or when I cut all this together, this is going to be a long video, and most of it's just going to be wandering around. So yeah, if you've stuck with me to this point, I really appreciate it. Like, that's amazing. Thanks for your support. Just putting the video on and watching it, like, it's amazing. It's good to know. I'd love to know that other people like seeing this sort of stuff, and it's not just me making it for no one. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. We're going to call this a trip. I'm going to end it on the high note there. Yeah, hooroo, we'll see you in the next one.